Hi, everybody. I am Christina Taylor, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, coming to you from North Canton, Ohio. And today it is steamy outside. It's in the 90s, and we have like smoke coming down from the Canadian wildflowers, and it is not good air quality outside at all. So I hope by the time you're watching this, maybe the smoke is going to lessen in our area. I don't know. It's really bad. You can smell the smoke out there, and it seems like it's foggy when it's just really thick air. So if you have to be out and about, please take those precautions and stay in the air conditioning as much as you can because the weather is not good. And class was a little steamy yesterday. So I was by the evening class, we were talking about had taken a hot Pilates class, and one of the girls, Kelly, she suggested, she's like, maybe we should have a hot stamping class. And yesterday it was a hot stamping class. It was really steamy. So can't really predict the weather. And the Creativity Barn does have heating in it, but we just have fans in there, not AC. So it was a little steamy. But everyone persevered and we created and we all had humor in it. So it worked out well, I guess. So anyway, I digress. So today I'm going to be sharing with you the uh, Summer Circles and Sunshine card class projects. So all these projects will feature circles used in creative ways. And I got great feedback from the class in person, so I hope that you enjoy, if you're doing a craft along, I hope that you enjoy your craft along kit. And if you're watching to get inspiration and ideas, I hope that these projects inspire you to do something creative and make something beautiful, brighten somebody's day. That's always a good thing. So yeah, that's what I've got to share with you today. So I'm going to turn the camera down and we will go ahead and get started stamping. All right, let me just pause this here. Okay, I was able to get that switched over. Let me my camera here a little bit. It's a little wonky. There. Let's straighten up there. Okay, so this is a peek at our projects that we're doing today. So I will just give you a little peek of those, and then we're going to go through them one by one. Let me put them back over here with the supplies. So before we get started, I'm going to share with you, this is going to bother me because this is like crooked in the thing. It's throwing my eye off. Anyway, before we start, if there's anything in today's video that you are like, I need to have that for my creative options so I can create something beautiful too, you can visit my online store at stampingucrazy.stampinup.net and just log in with your online account so that you can earn rewards on your purchases as well. If you do not have an online account, that's not something that you want to create, you're welcome to email me. I'm happy to place that order for you. And this month's product of the month is the Begonia Bell stamp set. And I simply had to have it just for this sentiment here. You're my sunshine. We'll love that. I mean, there's other great sentiments in here too, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I need to have that. So you can get this for $5 this month with a $75 purchase, and that is $75 before shipping and tax. So you can add this onto your order, and it is while supplies last. So if you were a fan of our last month's set, the Wild Bunch, which was hugely popular because it sold out well before the end of the month. You'll want to act quickly if you're wanting to get this one, if this is something that appeals to you, because we don't know when it's going to sell out. When it's gone, it's gone. So there is also the designer series, the specialty vellum that was available 2 months ago. There is still some of that left. So you can grab that. That's really beautiful paper too. So I just wanted to share that with you today. Okay. Right. And then this, of course, is our current catalog. I've shared this before. This is valid through the end of August. But keep in mind, once August rolls around here, Stampin' Up! Will list some retired products, things that are going to go on the last chance list. And it's quite possible that products out of here will go on that list. So if you see something you like, grab it now before that list is posted. Also this month, if you're a new subscriber to Paper Pumpkin, you can join and get your first month at 25% off. So that's current promotion there. And then there is, what's the other? Oh, there's a new starter kit promotion. So if you have interest in that, Stampin' Up's doing it a little differently now, where you get a coupon code and then you can go on and you can order more than the $125 worth, which is really people are excited about, because when you're placing your starter kit, you have to be within that $125 limit and you can't order over anymore. Where doing the starter kit this way, where they send you a coupon code and you apply it to your order, you can order, say, $200 worth of merchandise if you want, use the $125 voucher, and then just pay $75 for it. And you're just paying shipping and tax on that overage, not the first $125. So that's kind of cool. Plus you get a super fun surprise box from Stampin' Up! With lots of goodies in it, and I think the value of it is around $100 if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I don't want anybody to get all jazzed up because I've said that wrong, but another demonstrator friend of mine, that's what she was saying, and so I need to look into probably a little bit more, but that comes free to you from Stampin' Up!, which is a nice surprise. So if you want information on that, you can always email me directly and reach out. I'm happy to talk with you more about that. So let me get the supplies for our first project, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, this is the first project we're going to create, and it is our floating window card. So you can see that shimmer underneath there. That is a window sheet, and it's also elevated with dimensionals, so you get some lift on that. So I'm going to show you how to create this card first. So everything is flush to the card aside from the sentiment label, and then of course this piece. And I would highly suggest just kind of stick with me as we kind of go through this, because it's just a little bit of a tedious process just until you understand it. And then I think it's very easy to complete these cards. So that's at least what the ladies at class said, that after they did the first one, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. And then the second one was a little easier to complete. So we're using our circle right here as the centerpiece. So the products that we're using on this project, we're using Granny Apple Green ink. We're using Darling Duckling ink. We are using the Lily of the Valley stamp set and dies. So the stamp set dies, this is in the main catalog. Beautiful set of dies and stamp sets, some great textural elements. So we're using that. Then we are also using the Botanical Expressions, which comes with a die. It's just released here in July. Comes with a really cool die. And you know what? I've got it over on my other space there. So we'll revisit that because I'm going to be using this again. I'm certain of that. But this is a great sentiment set. And I have picked the You're Wonderful in Every Way sentiment, which can go for a lot of different cards that you might need to send. So I think that's kind of a general statement, whether it's like birthday, thank you, just thinking of you, we can let somebody know how amazing they are. So we're using that one. We of course are using the the Valley and Bloom DSP. I know I've showed this before as far as the patterns on here, but it's super beautiful paper, goes along with that Lily of the Valley stamp set. And so that's where our designer series paper is coming from. We're using a little mini cutter. And then I've got some products here that are retired, and I know, like, oh, retired, but let's be honest, Stampin' Up! Is rolling out retired products quickly. The product cycle has become very quick with Stampin' Up! And I know that you have things in your stock, so I'm certain that you can pull from. If you have circle dies, you're good to go. If you don't have circle dies, believe me, we have options for you and I can help you with those. But I went ahead and grabbed my layering circles dies that we had, and I used this largest circle here to die cut the DSP and the window sheet. I've also pulled out the Banners Pick-a-Punch. This is retired. I pulled it out just for simple ease for the ladies to be able to banner their sentiments, whether they wanted the banner coming out or an inverted like that, instead of using scissors and trying to make it even and everything. This banner punch makes it really simple to use. So I just pulled that out for ease for the ladies. Then I've got some Granny Apple Green grosgrain ribbon that is Stampin' Up as well. And then the retired exposed brick 3D folder. I know it's retired. I mean, if your heart breaks, like you want this folder and you can't purchase it anymore, just reach out to me. I'm happy to sell you mine. I don't want anybody to be disappointed, but I'm certain that you might have options in your craft collection to use. So we bought that merchandise. Let's use it. Okay, so our supplies, we have a white envelope. Then I've got a piece of basic white cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I've got a piece of, oh, you know what? I don't think I grabbed the Darling Duckling. I'll have to do that. I've got a piece of Granny Apple Green that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I've got that. Let me grab the Darling Duckling. Okay, and I've got my piece of Darling Duckling. We've already embossed that with the exposed brick, so you can see that great texture on there. That is cut at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. So we've got that. I've got 2 Lily of the Valley stems already die cut out from that die set. I've got a couple strips for our sentiments, depending on which one I used. I grabbed that one, so I think it'll fit in either one. Then I've got a piece of designer series paper already die cut with that circle, and then the window sheet circle. And for the class, I put them on sticky notes so that it was easy for the ladies to locate them in their kit. So if you're doing a craft along kit, look for the sticky note. You're going to see these window sheets stuck to that sticky note. Okay, so we are going to start first by, I've got this really bright paper to stamp on, so there's no chance you're not going to see it. Okay, I'm going to start first by assembling our circle. I'm going to take that DSP off. Now in the kit, I'll put that one back on. In the kit, if you did a craft along, you're going to have a piece of this one with the details of the lily of the valley and like the little flowers and stuff on the paper. Then you're going to have another piece that's going to have just these green leaves on it or the little blossoms on the back, the Darling Duckling side. So you'll have both of these in your kit. And so this, obviously the example is made this way. So the other one I'm going to make with the other paper. When you're cutting this one, you want to make sure that your paper is directionally in there. And I'll explain that a little bit more once I start cutting it, so that you're getting it so that it will layer and look like a portrait. You can see them, everything attached instead of like the circle being turned. And then you're like, oh, what is that? You know, you're trying to figure it out. So this technique is great for designer series paper. It's also good for just color blocking. Like say you wanted to do a rainbow of strips on the floating circle there, you could totally do that. So there's no like right or wrong way. The options are endless with this technique. And some of the ladies at class did like, they would do a stripe of the green and then a stripe of the yellow, to flip them over. You can change it up however you might like. So on my example, I did about 1/4 inch on my strips, and I suggested, and I did really slim gaps, and I suggested that the ladies do a little bit larger strips, like maybe like closer to a 1/2 inch or maybe like 3/8 of an inch, and then increase the gap a little bit. So if you do that, you end up discarding just like one piece of this circle, which is no big deal. So I'm going to, let's see, that's under the light. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I'm just inserting it in my little cutter. And like I said, there's no right or wrong way as far as the size of the strip. So I'm just cutting, like it just cut this little strip off. So I'm going to set it aside and just keep cutting the strips. Yeah, outside it definitely smells. It smells like a bonfire, which I mean, I know it's from the wildfires in Canada, but you can definitely tell that I would think somebody was having a campfire. I went outside in the hot blazing sun today. Okay, and I'm just trying to keep these a little bit in line. Okay, so that's all of our cutting. And I've got my little pieces here. Oh, good gracious. Okay, I'm going to come in with my window sheet circle, put that down, and then I'm just going to start gluing these pieces to my window sheet. So you can use whatever type of adhesive you wish. I'm going to use a liquid glue. That down. And then I'm gonna work both ends. You can do either way, but I'm gonna go ahead and establish my top of my circle and the bottom, and then fill in between here. So let's see. Oops, I reverse that. Okay. I'm trying to look at my gaps to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take out 2 spaces actually. I like those gaps. I like it a little bit bigger like that. So these two, you can, like I said, you can create however you want to. On this one, I had a lot of strips here and very tiny little window spaces. I'm going to make it a little wider on this one. So these 2 strips, I'm just going to discard. All right, so I want to just glue these down now. And I find if I use the liquid glue, and you could see my cutting was a little off there. But with this pattern, it's not quite as noticeable as it would be with that. Yeah, this one I cut a little bit at an angle. Okay. Let's see. Ah, sticking to my finger there. Okay. All right. So I've got those gaps there. This one will show you done 2 different ways, obviously with the 2 different papers, but also letting you see a much bigger gap and then the smaller ones with the smaller strips. So I've got all my pieces on there. I'm just going to turn it over, give it a push there, get all those pieces on there. Now you can see when I was layering it, like this piece is a little bigger. So I'm just going to use my scissors. And so yours might be that way too. I'm just going to use my scissors and kind of trim that off and just follow the circle of the window sheet as my guide. This one is a wee bit like that too. Okay, perfect. All right, so now what I'm going to do is use some dimensionals. And for me, I know some of the ladies use these at class yesterday as well, or you can use the mini dimensionals, but I just like these little strips. These are great for, um, oh, shaker cards. But I'm using it for this technique because it helps keep the dimensional. Obviously, you don't want to put dimensionals where those clear spaces are because then you're going to be able to see it. And the whole purpose of it is to disguise the floating pieces. I'm just going to peel these off. Great thing about these little guys is you can just tear them. Okay. All right. Let me see. I was like, oh, should I be taking these off? Yeah, I could go ahead and put it on that embossed piece. So I'll just go ahead and do that. We'll build this circle and get that on there. So to the side, we'll bring back in that embossed layer, which is what we're going to put it on. Turn that around and then determine where I want to put that up here. There we go. Okay, so we've got our circle on. That's kind of cool. That really looks like floating pieces because the gaps are a little wider. I'm really happy that I did that. Tried it a little differently. Okay, we're gonna take our card base, fold that in half, and grab the bone folder just to flatten that crease. And we're gonna do a little stamping, so I'm gonna come back in with that. I know everybody at class was like, we're not cutting anything out of this. Like, I feel like we should be cutting something out of this, Christina. Like, that's normally what I would do. Honestly, I should cut some circles out of it. What am I thinking? It's a circle class. I totally should have done that. Okay. Now I've talked myself into it. Okay. I've talked myself into it, so I'm just going to come over here and punch some circles. We did not do this in class. I'm just doing it because everybody was like, I can't believe you didn't punch circles out of there. Honestly, I can't believe myself. I'm just grabbing some of these punches from the other project. Let's see. I have to make it like a little bit like Swiss cheese here. Let's see if I can get this out. This is like one of my favorite things to do. I mean, if you come to my classes, you know that. I love to punch things out of layers because we're layering over top of it. Nobody's going to see that there's circles punched out. Okay. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these, but I did punch them out just to satisfy all of you crafters who are like, Christine, I can't believe you didn't punch circles out of that. Okay. Okay, that was like a little side note detour there. All right, so we're gonna layer this on top of the or underneath the embossed piece. Let me go ahead and do that before I do my stamping, since I got on a little side journey there. Let's get some adhesive, and I got to put it on this part because it's kind of like Swiss cheese, and if I put on the yellow, I'll have glue everywhere. Okay, so we're gonna put that down and set this aside and come back to do some stamping. So on the inside of my card, I did a little stamping with some Lily of the Valley, and I'm going to move these. So I can put this up a little bit more. And we're going to ink up that Lily of the Valley with some daffodil. Nope, not daffodil, darling duckling. Oh, I was lucky I didn't stamp on my foam mat, so that's good that that came out. Okay, and then I'm going to take the leaves and ink in the granny apple. Set down some leaves on there, and then clean that off. Okay, I'm gonna want to bring my envelope in because I want to put a little Lily of the Valley on that. So I may as well do that while we have that out. Let's see. Stamp those there. Perfect. Okay. All right, and then we need to stamp our sentiment. And on this one, I stamped it in the Darling Duckling, but I'm going to do this one in the Granny Apple Green. Change it up a little bit. Just to give it a little different look. I think I have the hiccups. Okay, you are wonderful in every way. Oh my goodness, I've got the hiccups. Let me take a drink of water. Okay, we're going to close that ink. And then bring our punch in. We're ready to assemble. Let me bring in this pick a punch, which is, again, it's retired. But I know you crafters have options out there. So I'm just putting my cardstock. You see that right there. I'm just putting it in. And wait a minute. I was using the wrong one. That's not the one I want to do. I want to use this one. Okay. And then here. All right, so we've got that perfect. Bring that ribbon back in. So I need to make a little knotted bow. And then we're going to put our sentiment on with some dimensionals as well. We'll go ahead and put this one on the card base. Now, as you're doing this, if you're doing the craft along kit and you need to stop the video and slow it down so you can see how to do the cutting and the layering, feel free to do that. Take that time to understand how to layer your circle so you can get that really cool effect. And let me grab my dimensionals. Just need some regular ones. I think my camera must have gotten jostled a little bit because my stamping, I'm having to stamp much further up on my desk than I normally do to be in the line of the camera. Okay. There we go. All right, we're going to take, I think I actually have a little ribbon tied. So I'm just going to take my grosgrain and tie it just right on the spool and make a little, just a little simple knot. But I actually already have one here. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab that. And then come back in here with our little lily of the valley. And these little guys are so delicate. So you want to be careful with them. They die cut super easy. But when you're going to like layer them on there, you just want to be delicate with your adhesive. Like I would definitely not recommend using like a tape runner to put these down. You definitely want to use liquid glue or little mini glue dots on the little blossoms. That would be my recommendation to you. But this stamp set and dies is so beautiful. I love Lily Valley. I'm currently trying to get some of it moved out of a flower bed where I don't want it anymore. If any of you have been, if you're watching this and you've been to my house, you know that I love flower gardens, and I like the cottage style flower gardens, meaning like you just got, let me just place that down there. Oh my goodness, see, it got stuck to my finger. Wait, let me get it back in place. Look, this one stuck to me. See? These little guys have got to be gentle. Okay. Anyway, I like cottage style gardening, so I like to have many different things um, all around my garden. And now that I have glue on my fingertips, I'm literally pulling these little guys up. Okay. There we go. All right. Um, So yeah, I thought I would work in my flower beds today, but no, that's definitely not happening because this heat and the like smog that we're dealing with or whatever. I mean, well, I know, I mean it's smoke, I guess, but okay, I should have put the glue dots on the knot of the ribbon. I did not, so this is going to be a little challenging here. Bear with me. Okay, okay. I really should have done it that way. There we go. Sorry, they kept coming off with my finger and then I couldn't obviously pant that little ribbon. Then I'm going to tie that little ribbon right there. Press that down. Okay. Get this out of the way. Okay, so there is our first card. So you're going to have a version of each. If you're doing the craft along, you'll have one of each. And I'd love to hear what you think of this card. This was really well received class. The process was a little, to try and understand it, but once everyone got it, it seemed overall it was well received. So that's kind of cool. It's something different. A lot of the ladies had never seen this technique done before. So I'm always happy when I'm showing somebody something that they have not seen before. All right, let me switch things over and I'll bring in the next supplies and we'll do another project here. All right, this next project is using the beautiful Fern and Flora stamp set and dies. I love this. Love this project with the bright colors like the greens and then this pop of Coastal Cabana. So pretty. There we go. All right, so everything is flush to the card except for the sentiment. Everything else is just down regular. That this is popped up with dimensionals. So I'm going to put this over here just so it can stay to the side. Let me share with you what we're using. Again, we're using the Fern and Flora stamp set and dies. So let me bring those up a little bit better in this shot here. Here we go. Great set of dies, detailed dies, and these came out surprisingly well. I die cut lots of these for the class and didn't struggle with them as far as them getting stuck in the die and really having to use like wax paper and stuff like that. They just released so well. So I was pretty pleased with that. On this card, we're using this stamp set on several different projects on the other two. I pulled out this stamp for one of the other projects and this stamp that we're have yet to do. But on this particular project, I'm using this fern, this like background texture stamp, the little butterfly, and then the label outline. So several images out of this stamp that we're using on the projects today. Then I've got my Stamparatus set up. I did this for class for the ladies so that the label was there and set so that it stamped their labels well instead of somebody like taking this off the block on and off and then the label was wonky and you did not get a good outline. So I've just used on my Stamparatus. Stampin' Up! Has a new stamp position tool. If you don't have one, highly recommend you get one. They are great and they make crafting like a whole lot just simpler for you, just if you're doing repetitive stamping. But I have the Stamparatus and I just continue to use it. I really enjoy that product. And then the inks that we're using are Coastal Cabana. We're using the Granny Apple Green again because when I'm using a green, what do I always use the same color in a class? I'm like, it just doesn't fail, and then I end up repeating it. And then we're using Lemon Lime Twist too. Okay, so as far as our supplies, we've got our envelope. And if you're doing the craft along kit, you are going to want to look in one of your envelopes because you're going to find your die cut pieces in the envelope. So everything has been die cut for you. You've got each of the little, oh, look, I just broke that. I just broke that. Okay, we'll make it work. See, I just got done saying it didn't break in the when I was pulling out the dies, and I just ripped it myself. So you've got your large fern piece, the stitched circle, the label from the die set, and then all these detailed pieces. And we are using the stylish stitch shapes. That's where this one came from. I'm using it on one of the other projects too, so I'll show you that more in person. And then, or on the video, I should say. Then you've got a piece of Granny Apple Green that's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. You've got a piece of Lemon Lime Twist that is 3.75 by 5. You've got a piece of Basic White that's 3.5 by 5. And you've got a piece of Granny Apple Green that's 3.5 by 4.75. And then that's everything because we've already done all the die cuts. So we'll go ahead and start on this one by just folding our card base. Get that flattened. Oh my goodness. Oh, I flipped the camera. Hang on a second. Now my camera's upside down. Let me correct that. Okay, I am so sorry. I hit the camera that's right above here. Well, you saw it just flipped out towards me. I'm so sorry about that. All right, you know what? I didn't punch anything out of this layer. Just because I did it on the other one, now I'm going to have to do it on this one. I'll make another circle project, and I'm going to have to post that. Because, yeah, I didn't punch anything out. Let's see what else we've got. This is such a side note. This is not something we did in class. I'm just being me. We'll do that. Okay, I've got some more circles. I'm going to put them with the other ones that I punched out. We're going to make a project with that. I'm not going to do it on today's video. I won't make you, that'll be excruciating for you to watch me try to figure out what I want to do when I have no idea at all. So, okay, we're going to start by stamping our fern. We're going to use the Granny Apple Green. And bring this one in and this piece. Okay. So because I already die cut it, how I'm going to do it, and I did the die cutting at class for the ladies. So I just ink the block, and then I'm going to take my die cut and set it right on top of the stamp. If you're doing a lot of die cutting and you need the images, this is like a super easy, quick way to do your die cutting. You can pop a bunch of these out and then just stamp like that. To me, it's a lot easier. So that's what I try to do for the ladies that come to class. Okay. So I'm going to bring the Granny Apple Green back in, and my workspace is so condensed here. I'll just step that aside. Okay. And I'm going to just stamp some ferns on this piece, just randomly, not in a particular pattern or anything. I'm just trying to fill that space up and add some texture to the background. So I've got that stamped with some ferns. We'll go ahead and bring our white layer in. I want to do a little stamping on that. So I'll put a fern there and do one on the envelope too. Why not? Okay. We're done with our fern there. Let me clean that off. And then we'll come in, well, since I'm stamping, we'll go ahead and do the little butterfly. And we'll do a little butterfly on the back of the envelope, like a little seal there. I think that'll be good. Okay. Got these layers done. Now we need to do our label and our circle. So we're going to come in with that textured piece, or the circle, the textured stamp, and I'll bring that Granny Apple back out. We're going to stamp that textured lines. Okay. Done with that. We're going to use the lime for our label. So let me grab that. This over here. So we've got all of our stamped pieces. Come back with the Stamparatus. Let me move this out of the way here. Oh, I don't want to hit that pole again that my phone is to. Okay, so let's see. Can you get this on? There we go. Okay, so I made myself a template, cut out the label out of just some black cardstock, and that gives me a space to put my label. Then I'm going to take the Lucky Lime Twist or Lemon Lime Twist, ink my stamp, bring that down. And give it a little water there. Give it a little press. And then we've got the border stamped on our label. So I'm going to close that. And then bring in the sentiment stamp, which you make the world a better place. Okay, I had that here. What did I do with that? Okay. Here. Put that back on the block. I'll bring my piercing mat in so I can stamp on this so I get a good transfer. I think my pads need to be inked up. They were very well loved at class. So I put that down. I was like, it's a little, there's a little bit of a tweak there. I could see it when I was going down. I'm like, it'll be okay. It's gonna be fine. Okay. So now we've got all of our pieces and parts and all the things. So I want to start by putting my circle on here, and I want my circle to kind of come off a little bit. I want to create some interest there with some not having the full circle on there. So I'm going to put some adhesive right about there because I want to cut off a section of it. You, of course, if you're doing the craft along kit, you can do it however you might like. Oh my goodness, I'm like all thumbs today. I'm gonna do it this way just so I can see where I put that glue. Well, obviously I need to tweak it now because my lines were not correct there. There we go. That's why I love working with the liquid glue. You have a little time to reset it. And just cut that off. Just creates a little different interest on the side there. Like I said, you can do it however you might like. And then I'm going to glue this layer to the granny apple. And again, we'll go around our Swiss cheese piece here. Now, one of the next projects we're going to do, we are cutting circles out of the cardstock. I did do it on that, but didn't give it a second thought on these other ones, which is so unlike me, I know. Okay. All right, so we've got that layer. We want to put it on our card base. That. Okay. Inside layer. All right, so now we're just going to go ahead and build our little embellishments. So I'm going to put this label over here until we're ready for that. And I'm going to start with the stamped fern first. Let's see. And then we'll come in with this little guy and just need to get some glue on these little tiny pieces. Okay. So I'm gonna, and the cool thing about this is you can kind of turn it. It's got some movement to it, so you can kind of adjust that how you want on your project, give it a little bit of a sway there. And then this one, and if you did the craft along, you might have to get a few little pieces out of here. There might be a few little pieces of cardstock still stuck in there. Do a little bit of adhesive on these little spots here. Okay. And that right about there. I'm kind of putting everything here so the stems to come there, and then I'm going to cover that up with our label. Now, this is the little guy that I ripped in half when I was taking out of the envelope. So if you're doing a craft along kit, just be mindful. Don't get crazy like I did and pull it out of there and it's stuck on something and then you rip it. Okay, so I'm gonna put my label about right there. So I'm gonna do that and then I'll attach this little guy. We'll make it work. It'll be all right. There, it's like it never happened. Only everyone that's watching this video knows, right? Then we'll bring in the dimensionals. Okay. And place that right there. Cover up all those stems. Pop it down there. There we go. Okay. And there is our second card. So these pretty much the same layout, but another fun way to use your circles. All right, so let me clean these things up and I'll be back with the next project. All right, Here we go with our next project. Now this is a 2-for-1 kind of thing. You're doing two cards, but they have a flip-flop layout, but you're using the one piece to create. And I'll explain as we go along. But this is a fun eclipse technique. I really like this. I had a lot of fun making this card. So we're going to go ahead and I'll get started here, let you know what we're using. So the color we're using is Azure Afternoon. We are using a blending brush, which was heavily loved at class. You can see the amount of azure in there. I've got the Stamparatus, and on the Stamparatus, I have the Sweet Foliage stamp, which is a new stamp, online exclusive that came out in July. I really love the delicate imagery on this. I think this is going to be fun to really work with as I continue to explore. But this way, we're just going to stamp it full on. So we're using that. We are using the new textured ring embossing folder, which is a full-size embossing folder, so you can do a whole half a sheet of cardstock. And at this case in class, they were able to do both of their pieces at once, so we're using that. Then the stamp set that I've chosen is Scalloped Wishes, and I chose these two sentiments. Actually, some of the ladies did these other ones, but I like these because they were vertical. So they worked perfectly for the little half circle that we cut out there and to be able to kind of fit in that little space. So I've got the So Very Happy for You and I'm Here for You if you need me. That's what I'll put one of those on this card. This is a new stamp set. It's online exclusives. There's also a set of dies available that go with this as well. And then I've got the Stylish Stitch Shapes again, which we used this larger circle on the last card. On this one, we're using the second size down. And I think that's it. And then I've grabbed some fine sparkle gems. We're using the Azure color for our gem. And then let me share with you the supplies. So we've got a piece of Azure Afternoon that is 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored at 4.25. And then you've got your envelope. Then you have in your kit, you will have a small piece for the inside of your card, which that is 3.5 by 5. And then you're going to have two pieces for your top layers, and they are both going to be 4 by 5.25. You will have your gems stuck to a sticky note in your craft along packet so they didn't get lost. So look for those. They're going to be on like a Coastal Cabana type sticky note as far as color. So we're going to start by folding our card base in half and flatten that. And then I'm going to take one of these larger pieces and we're going to do some stamping on the Stamparatus, which I'm going to turn it this way. This might get it best in the camera. All right, so I've got my ink pad. I'm just going to go ahead and ink that background stamp. And oh my gosh, I have to put my cardstock there. Christina, what are you doing? That would not work very well if I didn't actually have my cardstock there. Okay, then I'm going to place the stamp down and I'm going to use this little guide to press and transfer my image. Just go back and forth. My husband is in the process of making these, so if you have interest in having one for your stamparatus or stamp positioner, please let me know. I can give you some more details on that. Okay, so there we go. We've got our image stamped. Put this aside. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to do some blending. Okay, we're going to do blending and we're also going to do die cutting and cutting. So I'm going to explain all this to you so that you don't have to like watch me sit here and do all the blending. So I'm going to take this and run it through the die cutting machine so that I get a circle die cut out of here and then a framed piece. All right. And then I'm going to blend with my blending brush by simply using my Azure Afternoon pad and oh my gosh, words are so hard for me today. Let me just show you a little bit on here so I can get my, sorry. So I'm going to take the blending brush and I'm just going to swirl color around and blend that in there. So you're going to get a little bit more of that color and it's going to soften the piece more. So pretend I've done all that. We're die cutting this out. And then through the magic of TV, this is what we end up having. We've got two pieces and we've got our circle from within. Okay. Right. I have taken my little guillotine cutter and cut that in half at the 2-inch mark. So that's going to give us an even piece for each side. All right. So this turns into this. And then what we do next, so at class, what we were going to do is, see, you notice this has texture on it. It's embossed. So we have to figure out, and I'm just going to do one of these for the purposes of this video. Um, you have to figure out where the layout is going to be. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this panel on half, and I'm going to put my eclipse piece right here. So this is going to be white space and white space on this card. So I'm going to do the So Happy For You. And I'm going to ink this up. And I'm going to stamp it right there in my white space. Okay. Then I'm going to add a little dragonfly because, well, that just makes it cuter. And I'm going to put him right there in that white space. Okay. So then I'll remove these. And then I'm going to take this along with my textured ring embossing folder, and I'm going to run this through the cut and emboss machine. And then this is what you get. So you've got that great texture from the tree ring embossing folder, but you can still see your sentiment and the little firefly there, or dragonfly. All right, so now we're ready to take this piece and glue it down to our card. So these are cut the same as far as height and everything, so that'll fit in there nicely. And then put some adhesive on that little half circle. Okay. And place that down. So you're just placing it so those points line up with the points on the cut there. And you get this really cool effect. And then I want to do a little stamping on this inside layer. We're going to use this little fern from the Fern and Flora stamp set. And let's see, this is going to go this way. So there we go. Go ahead and do that on the envelope while we've got it out. Go. Okay. Close that. And then come back in with these pieces and we will put our card together. Put a lot of adhesive on there just because of all those little nooks and crannies on the embossing folder. I want to make sure I get a good adhesion, I guess you would say. I don't know if it's a word or not. It's going to be in my world anyway. Fasten it down really nicely, I guess is what I could say. I don't know. In the stamping world, we can make up our own words. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with some gems. Let me grab these, get my take your pick tool. And we're going to put a couple of these on here. And I'm going to put them in a slightly different spot than what I had them on my example. I had them in here. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the white. And do I want it there or do I want it on the dragonfly? Do it on the dragonfly. Okay. All right, let me get my adhesive out of the way here. Okay, so this is the one we created. Of course, this was our examples, but you can see, very similar in the layout and everything, the sentiments. And I think you can have a lot of fun with this card. You could use any background stamps. You're just wanting to create that background and then cut the circle out of the center and emboss. You wouldn't necessarily have to emboss. I just thought the texture looked really nice with this particular stamp. Okay. All right, let me get these things out of the way and I'll come back with our last project. Okay, all right, this is our last project featuring our circles. We've got all kinds of circles on this one. I love the coloring on this. I love the paper. This was just, oh, love this card. All right, let me just share with you what we're using. So I've got a soft seafoam ribbon that we use for our little bow. I'll tie that. We're using the Moonlit Floral Designer Series paper, which I have loved very much. So you can see that it's quite punched up with all the sheets. Let me see if there are some left in here. There is some left, but I have used a lot of this pack of paper. Really, really pretty. I'm also using two polka dot folders. These are both retired. I know, Christina, it's retired, but I'm thinking that you could use any option you'd like. I'm guessing you're a stamper. You've got a circle embossing folder. You are going to get through this. You've got these two. Pull them out and use them. You bought them. Love them. All right. Then I've got a Golden Glow ink pad. This is one of our new ink pads, new in colors. Love this color. It's so pretty in this pack of paper. Then I've grabbed the Cutest Crew stamp set, and in it I have grabbed the Just a Little Hello. That is what I'm using for my sentiment. This is an adorable stamp set and has a great set of dies too. If you don't have this one, you might want to grab that for your collection to create with. Then punches. We are using a selection of punches here. We are using an inch and let's see an inch and a half punch. We are using 3/4 of an inch punch, a 2-inch punch, an inch and a quarter, and then an inch and 3/4. And yeah, these have been around for a while. They have been very well loved. They still work. It's a quality product that Stampin' Up! Had. I'm still using them. I'm sure you are too. So you just need some circle punches and you're good to go. Okay, our supplies that we have in this project, we've got, of course, our envelope. We've got a piece of Golden Glow cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5 and is scored at 4 1/4. We've got a piece of soft seafoam that is 4 by 5 1/4. We have, let's see, a piece of white cardstock that is 3 3/4 by 5. And then we've got another piece of basic white cardstock that is 3.5 by 5. This one, the smaller one, is for your inside layer. Okay, so on this one, we are actually going to punch these circles out of the cardstock before we layer it. So this was planned in the project as far as that's what everybody did at class. So I'm going to punch just 3 of them out. And another one here. Okay. So I'll put those aside. All right. So we've got that layer. Grab this and our circles. So inside your kit, if you did a craft along kit, you are going to have all kinds of circles. You're going to have all kinds of designer series paper circles with that'll all complement this color palette. You also have some Golden Glow circles, and then of course the seafoam ones that you've gotten punched out. So we need to emboss some. If you notice, I put some texture on here of large circles and tiny circles on those. So we are going to run those circles, the cardstock ones, through the embossing folder to give some extra texture to this card. So I am going to do that because I didn't pre-do that. So I'm going to be off camera. I'm going to do that really quickly, and then I'll come back with those circles. Okay, all right, I'm cut back. I've got those embossed. So seeing we have those textures. You're going to have enough circles for both cards in your craft along kit. Let's pull those all out. And get our white piece here. So you want to layer your circles on the larger white one. And you just want to start building your design. So and I'll put this in the frame. So if you kind of want to follow this, you can. But so I'm just going to start, and let me get my paper here just so I don't get glue all over my work surface. Okay. So I'm just going to start by putting my circles down. I'm just going to kind of build this here. See what we've got, all these different pieces. Okay. Use that color. So this one you'll kind of just have to, bear with me as we're building this. I'm going to use this one. So there's two sides, so you can just change it up. This one's going to be a little bit more of that seafoam color. And I'll come in here with a seafoam one. There. And let's see. Looking which one I want to do. Nope, I want to put that adhesive on this side. Now keep in mind, you're going to put your sentiment with your greeting on here. So you don't necessarily have to put one right there because that's where we're going to put our sentiment. So these. We're going to come in with another seafoam one. I'm going to pop that one behind there. You want to try to use 3 seafoam on here, maybe 3 of the Golden Glow, just to pull the colors together. So I'm going to do those 2 little ones. What else do we need? Maybe one of these down here. Let's try. Right there. I'm going to use this little guy right here. There. This is just a little bit of a process. And just going to put a little adhesive on that one and put that right there. I'm cutting it off. Let's see, I need another little one right there. Let me see which one I want to do. Or kind of like that white with a pop of white there. So we'll do that. And right there. Okay. All right. So we've got all of our circles there. And then, oh, you know what? I didn't get a piece of cardstock for the sentiment. So let me grab that. There we go. And I also used this floral images out of the fern set. We had talked about that earlier. So I just went ahead and punched an 1 3/4 circle. I'm going to use that to stamp my sentiment on. Okay. And then we're going to put that on with some dimensionals. So you do want to dimensionalize your sentiment there. Just go ahead and do that while we're working on our circle piece. just in case I want to see, like if I've got a blank space that I want to put another circle, but I think this is going to fill in nicely. Yeah, I like that. So that's good. Good, good. All right. Then I'm going to come in with our inside layer and we're going to do a little stamping. Then we're going to be ready to put this together. Okay. This little flower image that really complements this designer series paper, I think. Okay, I've got this. Isn't that amazing how quickly these ink pads, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Love them. So good. Okay, so I'm going to take this and flip it over and then just use my scissors. Let me grab them here. Okay. To just cut off those little excess pieces by following the white border. Okay, that. All right, so we're ready to layer this. Oh, I really love that. I just love these circles so much. So I'm going to layer this with the soft sea foam. So I want to put my adhesive here because remember, I've taken circle punches out of there. So I don't want to get adhesive everywhere. So I'm going to layer that with the sea foam. There we go. Fold the card base in half. Oh, I just am so excited with this card. I'm like, can you, I mean, I'm talking about it too much. I just love the circles and the paper. I'm going to make this layout with other designer series paper. I think it's super fun to work with. And I'll put a little adhesive on our white layer for inside. Okay. Right. And then we need to come in with a little bow. All right, so we've got that. Let me put that aside there. So I'm going to bring my bow maker in and then my ribbon. And these are bow makers. My husband makes these for you to make different size bows. I have a whole video tutorial on it. If you have interest in it, please let me know. They're just $5 if you pick them up here at my little pickup house. So I'm just going to take, I'm sorry, I was not paying attention there. I'm going to take the tail of my ribbon and bring it around the right side and come around the back, twist those two, take my tail up and over, bring that around and tie. Grab hold of that. Then I'm going to give a little tug here before I pull these nails out. We'll just take the nails right out. And then I've got this adorable little bow, which I absolutely love making little bows. The ladies that come to class, they know that. I do them all the time. I'm just going to clean up the ends there. I love my little bows just probably about as much as I do about punching stuff out of layers. So let's be honest. Let's see. I've got that little sea foam circle. Which do I want to put that there or do I want to put it over here? I think I do want to put it there. Okay. I'm gonna put a little my stamp and seal right there. Just so I can get the little tails on that ribbon too. Okay, and there is our fourth and final card. Right. Okay, let me bring in all the cards that we created. So I know I've got doubles here. Let's see. And we've got this one, this one, this one in our envelope. And this one, double there. And our double floating window. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right, let me switch this over and I'll chat with you a bit. Oh my gosh, look at all those wonderful colors. Hey, all right. So we are all done. I hope that you enjoyed that creative process. Oh my gosh, my hair is like a hot mess. I hope that you enjoyed the projects today in the summer circles and sunshine class, and that you are excited to finish creating them if you haven't finished them. Send them out so you can brighten somebody's day because that is what this is all about picking somebody else up that's maybe having a day, or you know what? How nice is it just to get a card in the mail or somebody to be like, you know what, I was thinking about you today. So, that's all I've got today to share with you. If you're outside, try and stay cool, hydrate, and this kind of weather is always good for paper crafting. You can just stamp and create. So, all right, until next time, I'm going to stop jabbering and let you go. And until next time, happy stamping. All right, bye-bye.